Something happened last night. Someone you love received a phone call. And after that call, everything changed. You noticed it immediately, didn't you? The way their voice shifted. The distance in their eyes. The way they looked at you like they were already gone. But that call wasn't about them. It was about you. And what was said, it cut deeper than any knife ever could. Because the person who was supposed to protect your heart suddenly became the source of the silence you now feel. Don't leave yet. Because the next part explains more. You see, when that phone rang, you were in the other room. You heard the murmur of their voice. You heard the laugh that wasn't really a laugh. You heard them say your name, but it sounded wrong. Like a warning. Like someone was confessing something about you that wasn't true. The call lasted only 3 minutes. But those 3 minutes rewrote everything you believed about your life with them. Perhaps you've been wondering why they pulled away. Maybe you've been replaying every moment. Every conversation. Every touch that suddenly turned cold. And you've asked yourself, what could have been said? What was whispered through that phone that made them look at you like a stranger? Was it a secret you never knew? A mistake you never made? A story about you that you never lived? This is where it gets deeper. Because the truth isn't about what they heard. The truth is about who called. You see, the person on the other end of that line, they know you better than you know yourself. They've been watching. Waiting. And they finally found the right moment to speak. And what they said, it was crafted. Every word chosen carefully. Every pause intentional. Every silence filled with meaning that your loved one couldn't escape. Another layer now. The caller didn't lie. That's the most painful part. Everything they said was true, but it was a truth that never needed to be spoken. A truth that was supposed to stay buried. A truth that belonged only to you and the quiet hours of your own heart. But someone exposed it. And now the one you love is trying to decide if they can still look at you the same way. Can you feel the weight of that? Have you noticed how the air changes when they walk into the room? The silence that wasn't there before. The way their eyes avoid yours. The way their phone is always face down now. The way they say, "I'm fine," but their heart is screaming something else entirely. One more piece before you keep going. The call didn't end like you think it did. There was one final sentence. One line that your loved one heard right before the line went dead. And that sentence, it's the reason they're still here. Still in the room with you. Still pretending everything is okay. But that sentence also planted a seed. A seed of doubt that will grow every single night. Every morning. Every moment they look at you and wonder. What else don't I know? You're probably feeling something right now. Maybe your chest is tight. Maybe your heart is racing. Maybe you're thinking of a specific moment. A specific day. A specific conversation you had with them that felt off. Trust that feeling. That's not paranoia. That's your soul waking up to a truth you've been avoiding. The biggest truth is still hidden. And it has nothing to do with the call. It has to do with you. With who you really are. With what you've always carried inside you without even knowing it. Because the person who called, they weren't trying to destroy what you have. They were trying to protect it. But they went about it the wrong way. And now you're caught in the middle of a story you were never supposed to be part of. One final truth for now. The person you love will eventually speak to you about that night. They'll tell you what was said. They'll give you a chance to explain. To defend yourself. To fix what feels broken. But that conversation won't be the real one. The real conversation happens after. When the truth comes out. When you finally understand why that call had to happen. Why it was sent to you. Why it was meant to shatter the illusion you were living in. Stay with this feeling for just a moment. Because before you sleep tonight, something will shift. Something will click. And you'll start to see the pattern you've been missing all along. The pattern that led to that phone call. The pattern that brought you to this very moment. The pattern that is preparing you for what comes next. You're not losing them. You're being shown the truth about what you've always had. And that truth is about to change everything. But that's a story for another moment. For now, just know this. The call wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. And the most important words haven't been spoken yet. They're coming. And when they do, you will finally understand why this had to happen. The night didn't end when the phone went silent. Something else happened after. You went to bed, didn't you? You tried to sleep. You closed your eyes and told yourself it was nothing. Just a phone call. Just a strange mood. Just a moment that would pass. But you felt it. The cold space in the bed beside you. The way they turned their back. The way they breathed like they were holding something in. You wanted to ask. You almost did. But something stopped you. Some deeper instinct whispered, "Not yet." And that whisper was right. You're probably wondering what happened the next morning. That's the part that will hurt the most. They woke up early. Earlier than usual. You felt them leave the room. You heard the shower run. You heard them make coffee, but only one cup. For the first time in however long, they didn't make you one. It's the small things, isn't it? The small things that scream the loudest. Perhaps you've been trying to act normal. Maybe you've been smiling when you don't feel like smiling. Maybe you've been reaching for their hand and watching them pull away just slightly. Maybe you've been making excuses for them. They're tired. They're stressed. It's not about me. But your heart knows. Your heart has been trying to tell you something your mind refuses to accept. Here's a question you haven't asked yourself yet. What if the phone call was about something you did, but didn't remember? What if there's a moment in your past that you buried so deep, even you forgot it existed? And what if that moment finally caught up with you? Not as punishment. As revelation. Another piece now. The person who called, they didn't call to hurt you. They called because they love you. They called because they saw something coming. Something dark. Something that was about to destroy everything you've built. And the only way to stop it was to make sure you noticed the cracks before it all collapsed. That's why they told your loved one what they told them. Not to end your relationship. To save it. But the way they did it, it was harsh. It was sudden. It was the kind of truth that bruises before it heals. Don't skip this part. Because what happens in the next 3 days is more important than that phone call. You will be tested. Not by them. Not by the caller. By life itself. You will be given a choice. One path leads to defense. To anger. To blame. The other path leads to listening. To understanding. To a kind of silence that isn't empty, but full of meaning. The choice you make will determine everything. Have you noticed how quiet the world feels right now? How even the sounds around you seem softer. Like the universe is holding its breath. Like it's waiting to see what you'll do next. Because you are standing at a crossroads. And the road you choose will change your story forever. But here's the truth they don't tell you about crossroads. Both roads lead to the same place. They just feel different along the way. You'll probably want to confront them soon. You'll want to demand answers. You'll want to know exactly what was said about you. But that's not the conversation you need to have. The conversation you need to have is with yourself. Ask yourself this. What if you've been carrying a burden you were never meant to carry? What if the thing you're most ashamed of is actually the thing that will set you free? What if that phone call was the first step toward healing? Even if it doesn't feel like it yet. One more layer. Your loved one is struggling right now. More than you know. They haven't slept well either. They've been replaying the call in their mind. Over and over. Trying to decide what to do with the information they received. And somewhere in their heart, they're scared. Scared of losing you. Scared of being wrong. Scared that if they ask you the wrong question, they'll shatter something that can never be repaired. That's why they're silent. Not because they don't care. Because they care too much. Before you close this video, think about this. The call was a mirror. It showed them something about you that they hadn't seen before. But it also showed them something about themselves. Something they've been running from. Something they've been avoiding. And now, they can't avoid it anymore. That's the real reason they cut everyone off. Not because of what was said about you. Because of what they realized about themselves. You're still here. Good. Because the most important thing is about to come into focus. The ending of this story isn't written yet. And the phone call, it was just the first sentence. The next sentence belongs to you. And the words you choose. They will echo for a lifetime. So choose wisely. And choose with your heart wide open. One final layer for this part. The person you love will speak to you tonight. They'll come to you when the house is quiet. When the lights are low. When there's nowhere to run. They'll sit beside you. They'll take your hand. And they'll say the words you've been dreading and hoping for. But before that moment comes, take a breath. Feel your heart. And remember this. The truth will set you free. But first, it will make you uncomfortable. That's okay. That's how healing begins. And that's exactly what's happening right now. They came to you last night. Just as you hoped they would. The house was quiet. The world outside was still. And they sat beside you on the edge of the bed, close enough to touch, but far enough to feel like miles. You remember the moment, don't you? How their hand trembled. How their voice cracked when they finally spoke. How they said your name like it was a question they were too afraid to ask. And then, they told you. Not everything. But enough. You learned the name of the caller. That was the first shock. It wasn't a stranger. It wasn't an enemy. It was someone you once trusted. Someone who knew your story before you even knew it yourself. Someone who carried a secret you had long forgotten. And that secret, it was never about you. It was about them. The caller wasn't exposing you. They were exposing themselves. Through you. Don't turn away now. Because this is where the picture clears. The caller didn't call to tell your loved one about something you did. They called to confess something they never had the courage to say to you directly. Something that happened long ago. Something that shaped your life without you ever realizing it. And your loved one, they were just the messenger. The unwilling listener to a confession that was always meant for your ears. Can you feel the shift happening? The weight is lifting, isn't it? Slowly. Quietly. Like fog burning off a morning lake. You've been carrying blame that wasn't yours to carry. You've been questioning yourself for things you never did. And now, you're starting to see the truth. The person you love hasn't pulled away because of you. They've pulled away because they don't know how to tell you what they heard. They don't want to hurt you. They don't want to be the one who brings the pain. So they've been silent. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting for the courage. And that courage is arriving right now. Here's something you haven't considered yet. What if the call wasn't the end of a secret, but the beginning of a reconciliation? What if everything that has felt broken is actually being rearranged into something stronger, something truer, something that can finally breathe? Because the old way wasn't working. The old way was built on silence. The old way was built on things left unsaid. And that phone call, it blew it all open. So something real could finally grow. Perhaps you're feeling angry right now. Maybe you're angry at the caller. Maybe you're angry at your loved one. Maybe you're angry at yourself for not seeing it sooner. That's okay. That anger is a sign. It means you care. It means you're still fighting. It means the connection between you is deep enough to be shaken. And the deepest connections are the ones that can survive the biggest storms. Don't skip this. Because the next part changes everything. Your loved one told you something else. Something they didn't even realize was important. They told you the caller's voice sounded different. Like it wasn't the same person they once knew. Like something had happened to them. Something that transformed them. And the words they spoke, they weren't filled with bitterness. They were filled with sorrow. They were filled with regret. They were filled with love. The kind of love that arrives too late. The kind of love that only speaks when there's nothing left to lose. Another layer now. The caller is struggling. More than anyone knows. They've been carrying this weight for years. And they finally broke. They finally reached out. Not to destroy what you have. But to clear their own conscience. Because they couldn't live with the silence anymore. They couldn't live with what they didn't say. And now, you have a choice. A choice to respond with anger. Or a choice to respond with understanding. The first choice closes the door. The second choice opens a window. And through that window, you might just see the whole truth. Stay with me. Because the most beautiful part is still coming. Your loved one, they aren't going anywhere. That's the truth you need to hear. They love you. They've always loved you. And this phone call, it hasn't changed that. It has only deepened it. Because now they see the layers of you they never noticed before. The strength. The patience. The quiet grace you carry without even trying. They see you differently now. Not worse. Better. Deeper. Truer. Here's what you do now. You don't confront. You don't accuse. You don't run. You sit. You sit with the feeling. You let it wash over you. And you trust that something good is coming. Something better. Something you never expected. The caller's confession wasn't a tragedy. It was a gift. A painful, unexpected, life-altering gift. And you are ready to receive it. One final piece before the night ends. Tomorrow morning, your loved one will wake up different. They will reach for you again. They will look at you with eyes that have seen the truth. And they will say something that will heal the wound that was just opened. You will feel the shift. You will know it's real. And you will understand why that phone call had to happen. Why that pain had to come. Why that silence had to break. Because on the other side of the break, there is light. And that light is already shining on you. Morning came. And just as you were told, they reached for you. Not with words at first. With presence. With warmth. With the kind of silent apology that doesn't need to be spoken. You felt their arm across your waist. You felt their breath on your neck. You felt the weight of 3 days of distance collapsing into a single moment of contact. And you cried. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just quiet tears that rolled down your cheeks while they held you. Because you finally understood something. The distance was never about you. The silence was never about you. The fear was never about you. It was about them, and what they were afraid to lose. But here's something you don't know yet. While they were holding you, something else was happening. Across town. In a dim room. With a phone that was about to ring. The caller was sitting alone. Staring at the same number they had dialed 3 nights ago. Their finger hovering over the call button. And in that moment, they made a decision. A decision that would change everything again. Not to call your loved one. But to call you. Don't move. Because this is the part you've been waiting for. Your phone is going to ring today. And when it does, the number will be unfamiliar. But the voice on the other end will be unmistakable. It will be the person who started all of this. It will be the person who exposed the truth. It will be the person who owes you an explanation. And they are finally ready to give it. Not in fragments. Not in whispers. In full. In raw. In honest. You'll answer it, won't you? Even though part of you will be afraid. Even though part of you will want to let it ring. But something deeper will pull you to pick up. Something inside you that knows, this conversation is meant to happen. This conversation is the reason everything unfolded the way it did. And when you say hello, you'll hear a pause. A breath. A voice that sounds older than you remember. And then they'll speak your name. Like a prayer. Like a confession. Like a door finally opening. Here's what they'll tell you. They'll tell you about a moment in your past that you don't remember. A moment that was small, but carried massive weight. A moment when you unknowingly changed their life. Not through anything grand. Through kindness. Through presence. Through simply being there when no one else was. And that moment, it planted something in them. Something that grew over time. Something that turned into love. Into regret. Into a desperate need to tell you the truth, even if it meant risking everything. Have you ever done something so small, that you forgot about it? But someone else held onto it forever? That's what happened here. Years ago. Across a crowded room. In a fleeting moment. You spoke to them. You saw them. You didn't ignore them like everyone else. And that act of seeing, it saved them. But it also trapped them. Because they could never forget you. And they never stopped wondering, what if? What if they had spoken sooner? What if they had been braver? What if they had told you the truth before the years stacked up like walls between you? Now they are calling to tear those walls down. Not to win you back. Not to disrupt your life. To set themselves free. And in setting themselves free, they are setting you free too. Free from the mystery. Free from the doubt. Free from the question that has been circling your mind for days. What was that call about? Now you'll know. And the knowing will heal you. Another layer now. This isn't about love triangles or betrayal. This is about something far more sacred. It's about unfinished business. It's about words that were never spoken. It's about a connection that was never allowed to be named. And your loved one, they know about it. Not in detail. But in feeling. They've always sensed that someone from your past held a piece of your heart. They've just never known who. Now they do. And they're not threatened. They're curious. Because they trust you. And they trust that whatever happens next, is part of your journey. Don't skip this part. Because the moment you hang up that phone, everything will be different. But it won't be bad. It will be clearer. Like walking out of fog. Like stepping into sunlight. You will see your past with new eyes. Your present with new gratitude. Your future with new hope. And the person you love. They will be standing beside you. Not behind you. Not ahead of you. Beside you. Where they belong. One final truth for this part. The caller doesn't want anything from you. They don't want your time. They don't want your attention. They don't want to disrupt your life. They just want to finally say what they should have said years ago. And then, they will disappear. Not out of bitterness. Out of peace. Because they will have done what they came to do. They will have spoken their truth. And they will finally be able to let go. So when that call comes, answer it. Listen. Forgive. Not because they deserve it. Because you deserve peace. And peace is waiting for you on the other side of that conversation. It's already there. Just waiting for you to pick. My beloved child. The call came. Just as you knew it would. You answered it. And the voice on the other end broke before they even said your name. You heard the tears first. Then the breathing. Then the words you never expected to hear. I'm sorry. That's all they said. And they said it over and over again. Like a prayer. Like a wound that had finally opened. And in that moment, you understood something you had never understood before. Apologies are not always about guilt. Sometimes they are about grief. Grief for what could have been. Grief for what was lost. Grief for the version of yourself that you left behind. Now you're probably wondering what happens next. You're probably waiting for the confession. The explanation. The moment when everything clicks into place. But that's not what this call is about. This call is not about the past. It is about the present. The caller doesn't want to revisit old wounds. They want to heal new ones. The ones they created by making that first phone call. The ones they created by speaking about you without your permission. They called tonight to ask for your forgiveness. Not for what happened years ago. For what happened 3 nights ago. Here is the truth they finally told you. When they made that call to your loved one, they were not trying to hurt you. They were trying to protect you. But they went about it the wrong way. They were scared. Scared that you were making a mistake. Scared that you were giving your heart to someone who didn't fully see you. Scared that you were settling for less than you deserved. So they spoke. Not out of jealousy. Out of love. A love that had nowhere to go. A love that had been stuck inside them for years. And that love finally found a way out. Through the phone. Through the wrong words. Through a moment they now deeply regret. Perhaps you feel angry again. That's okay. That anger is part of this. It means you are still processing. Still understanding. Still figuring out what all of this means. But here is what you need to know. The caller didn't succeed. Your loved one didn't leave. Your relationship didn't break. It bent. And things that bend are stronger than things that stay rigid. They learn to sway with the wind. They learn to survive storms. They learn to grow roots that reach deeper than before. This is the part where something shifts in your heart. The anger starts to fade. The confusion starts to clear. And you begin to see the caller differently. Not as an enemy. As a messenger. A flawed, broken, imperfect messenger. Who delivered something you needed to hear. Even if it came wrapped in pain. Even if it came in the middle of the night. Even if it came from the wrong voice at the wrong time. The message was still true. And the truth. It always finds its way home. Don't leave yet. Because the biggest part is still coming. The caller is about to tell you something they have never told anyone. Something they never intended to reveal. But something that is bursting out of them right now. It is the reason they couldn't let go. The reason they stayed connected to you all these years. The reason they finally broke. It was never about what you did. It was about what you were. You were their safe place. Their North Star. The one person in a chaotic world who made them feel seen. And they never found that feeling again. Not once. Have you ever been someone's safe place without knowing it? Have you ever carried a role so quietly that you forgot you were carrying it? That's what you did. That's what you are. And that's what the caller is confessing to you now. You didn't just change their life in a single moment. You shaped it. You gave them something to hope for. And even though they never got to be with you, they were grateful. They were always grateful. And that gratitude, it became love. A love they never knew what to do with. Until now. Now they are letting it go. Not because they stopped loving you. Because they finally understand. Your heart belongs to someone else. And that is okay. That is how it was always supposed to be. Their job was not to keep you. Their job was to remind you of your worth. To remind you that you are unforgettable. To remind you that you are loved in ways you will never fully know. And now, their job is done. You'll hang up the phone soon. And when you do, you'll feel different. Lighter. Warmer. Like a weight you didn't know you were carrying has finally been lifted. Because you finally understand. The call was never about destruction. It was about completion. A circle closing. A chapter ending. A door gently shutting. And your loved one, they are still there. Waiting for you. With open arms. With an open heart. With a smile that says, I knew you would come back. One final piece. The caller will fade now. They will slowly disappear from your life. Not in a hurtful way. In a natural way. Like waves receding from the shore. Like leaves falling from a tree. Like a song that finally ends. But they will always be grateful for you. And you will always be grateful for them. Because even though it was painful, it was necessary. It was healing. It was love. And love, even when it hurts, is always worth it. You have arrived at the end of something. But you have also arrived at the beginning of something new. Something deeper. Something truer. Something that will last. So take a breath. Feel your heart. And know that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. The phone calls are over. The secrets are out. And now, the real story begins.